Welcome everyone to Dead Talk Live, and today we have a very special guest, Pinhead himself, Paul T. Taylor. Paul, thank you so much for being with us. How are you doing today?
It's my pleasure, Viz.
Uh,
I'm doing great.
and to be talking to I've had the honor to talk to the original Pinhead and the guy who closed it out, or at least in the most recent movie, yourself, in
Yeah.
Hellraiser Judgment. Both of you are fantastic. Have you ever had a chance to meet Doug Bradley?
Yes, actually, I met him at a screening. It was the 30th anniversary of the original Hellraiser, and he came into Texas. I live in Dallas, and he came into Texas along with Clive Barker and three of the original Cenobites because it was the 30th anniversary of the original film. And I don't remember if Judgment had come out or if it was just about to come out, but I was also a guest that year at Frightmare. But the night before was this screening, so I went to the screening and met those folks in the bar. Not Clive, he wasn't there, but the four Cenobites were there. So I met them at the screening, and they had a Q&A before the movie, and I held up my hand and to ask a question, and I asked my question, and then Doug goes, "Does everyone know who's asking the question?" I was like, ah. So, people either knew or they didn't. He said, "This is your new Pinhead, Paul T. Taylor, and la 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 la. You should welcome him with open arms." Anyway, he was he's very kind and gracious. He didn't have to do that. But
No.
so it was a really cool weekend. So I got to hang out with Doug and
That's awesome. So the original Hellraiser came out in 87, 30 years would put it at 217.
yeah,
Judgment, I believe, came out in 2018. So it's right about there, right about the same time. Uh,
yes.
what'd you think of Clive Barker?
I thought, well, to me, he was just a sweet. Do you mean in person or do you mean as an
In
artist? I mean,
in
it's a
person, I've
totally
heard
different.
him speak in at conventions, and then I've said this many times on this show. He is the most normal looking, kindest person. But when you
Yeah.
get to hear his creative thoughts, it scares the shit out of you. That's how scary his creative mind is.
Yes, we didn't really get into it because I was sitting at my table during the convention, and the only reason I met Clive was because one of the volunteers, who I think was helping to run Clive's room, who happens to be a friend of mine, came to my table and said, "If you want to meet Clive Barker, come with me now." So I jumped up and I followed into the room. He he got me in front of all this long line of people because everybody wants to meet Clive Barker, and I stepped up to the table and he said, "So you're the new Pinhead?" I said, "Yeah, ma'am, thank you so much." He's like, "What was it like working with Gary?" And I talked about Gary Tunnicliffe and thanked Clive for the creation of Pinhead and Hellraiser and all things Clive Barker and blah blah blah. But we didn't get to talk for very long because he had this long line of people
Yeah.
waiting to. We're actually paying for an autograph, so I kind of had to get. But my impression of him, yes, was that he was just this lovely, gentle, kind, sweet man. That's all I know. You
Yeah,
know.
and that's who he is. He is the kindest person. And I've heard him talk when he was doing panels. This is back in the 90s now. And when he starts explaining his inspiration for, like, I believe the words he used were, erotic horror, which is what Hellraiser really is.
Right.
Man, his mind works on a completely different level.
He was into some things, or is into some things that many people don't even know exist.
Exactly.
No, and that's not even it. That's not even. It's not about what he's into. It is. It's about that mind. Like you're born with. I don't know. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
wild. I've
yeah.
read a lot of stuff, and just nobody puts into words the things. I mean, he's so creative and beautiful and grotesque, uh,
Absolutely.
and I love it. Love it.
Absolutely. Now, according to IMDb, there's another Hellraiser movie coming out in 2022. Now, in
Right.
Judgment, Clive is just given credit as, of course, the creator of Hellraiser.
Yeah.
He wasn't actively involved in the writing process. Do you
Right.
know? Well, first of all, who are you coming back as Pinhead in the 2022?
I am not.
Okay, okay. Because the
Call someone forgot to make, but I'm pretty sure that it's filming right now.
yeah,
And from everything, I mean, from what I understand, and I may be confused on these facts. They may not actually be facts. It just may be what appears to be a female identifying person is playing the lead Cenobite. So, hearkening back to having a genderless lead Cenobite.
yeah,
My my association with Hellraiser was pretty strong when it was owned by Bob Weinstein with Dimension Films, the franchise. And then Me Too happened, and with Me Too, two things happened. One was great for me, not so great. Well, one was not so great for me, but it's an important movement. So let me just
yeah,
explain that.
yeah. Please do.
Not fast, but so the movie was finished and had been finished for 2 years, and I had been waiting for it to come out, and it wasn't released, and wasn't released, and wasn't released. They made it so that they could hang on to the franchise. Had to make a movie every 5 years. I thought maybe they don't even have to release it. Maybe it's not going to be released. Maybe I'm going to be a fool here. And Me Too happened, and suddenly the Weinsteins, from what I understand, are releasing everything they have because they need money for lawyer fees and the
Hmm.
lawsuits and everything. So Hellraiser Judgment got released. Thank God.
Yes.
That's given me this this new life sort of, and I'm
Hmm.
so grateful for it. On the other hand, all of the people who were associated with Dimension Films who had said things to me like, direct quote, pretty sure if you want this gig, it's yours, or pointing at me and saying, you're the franchise, because Judgment did set up a beautiful, it could have been a great sequel.
Yeah.
But that stuff's not going to happen. And I've had a few years to watch that devolve. But at the same time, I now have this life that is I have a convention life. It's raised my profile as an actor. It's made more people want to work with me, and that's a gift in itself.
Yes.
Uh, and I got to play Pinhead. Nobody can take it away from me. So it's
Exactly.
you know what? If Me Too hadn't happened, that movie might never have been released. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I have to look at both sides. I can't be angry about any of
No.
it. But just
And and this industry, words are very easily said, but
yeah,
everything in entertainment is very fluid. What
yeah. You
is going to happen today is completely off the table tomorrow.
you never know.
You
I
never
mean, I
know.
could call tomorrow and somebody could be like, "Yeah, we're going to do a sequel to Judgment," or we because you played Pinhead, we want you to play this part in another Hellraiser project, or whatever. It could be anything. So I'm just like, I have to be humble and grateful for it because so many people would, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
people would play a role like that.
Absolutely.
It was
Absolutely.
uh, cult status in a way that just crazy. Life's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Now, do you know, asking, as an actor in the film, who actually now, is it still Clive that owns the rights to Hellraiser, the story?
I don't. Oh, to the story, I don't know. I
Yeah,
only know that he gets credit in the films for creating characters created by
yeah.
IMDb. Um,
But as far as studios and all that, it gets really messy.
it really does, and I don't understand it. And you hear experts, and maybe they know what they're talking about, maybe they don't. And I understand that it's my understanding that Clive has sued to get the rights back. If a film is not finished by the end of this year, then he can get the rights back. And then I hear that they are
Yeah,
doing a shooting a thing right now. David Bruckner and
yeah.
David Goyer are shooting a film in Serbia as we speak. Apparently, this is unless it's all a ruse and none of it's true.
You never
But
know. And the reason I ask is because in the film that is supposedly coming out next year, Clive Barker is listed as the main writer. not characters created by, but
Yeah,
a part of the writing team.
I know. Yeah, I saw that too. So it is confusing.
It
It's like,
is.
well, did he do and get the rights back? Is he knows it'll be a better film if he writes on it? They paid him something to be in it. Who knows? But if he's writing it, all right,
Oh
that
yeah.
is good for the franchise. And personally, um, any attention, any healthy attention that Hellraiser gets reflects well on anyone who's involved with the franchise.
Yeah. Now
So
you got to go back to when the original came out. It was 1987, and Clive, brought us on the screen stuff that we had never seen before. Stuff that would today is called body torture, erotic, everything,
yeah,
and he just combined it together. And I was like what 13 when the film came out, but I do remember that. It caught a lot of critics off guard. And I always tell people that history is going to be the judge of what a film is going to end up. And
yeah,
history has put Hellraiser and the franchise in the cult, not even cult, it's in the horror classic category.
yeah. It is. I
Uh,
love that.
it absolutely is. And he did an amazing job. And of course, I mean, how many movies was Judgment number 10 in the
It was.
series?
It was number 10. Yeah.
And it's still going strong. And it's still going strong. It's still making
Oh,
money.
and many people rank it pretty darn high in their
Hmm.
list. They're big Hellraiser fans. There's 10 movies. Some people, I've heard a couple of people say it's their favorite of all of them, but most people don't say that. Most people, if they're going to come to my table and talk to me or online or whatever, they may rank it in the top three. They may
Yeah,
rank it in the top four, something like that. And that feels so good. And some people may say it's a piece of shit and they hate it, and that's fine too. I don't,
I
you
agree.
know,
I mean, just compare it to like Friday the 13th, which has gone 10 movies and beyond.
yeah,
After a certain amount, you get some really bad ones, but then you'll get one that really surprises you. And
yeah.
I'm on that side too. Judgment, I would put it in the top three of the
That,
Hellraiser movies. It was
that,
really, really good. Good story. I
you
mean,
know,
go on.
we we have Gary J. Tunnicliffe to thank for all of that. This was the Judgment was a love letter
Yeah.
to Hellraiser by Barker. It was finally his chance to direct a Hellraiser. He wrote it. He directed it. He played the auditor. He used his own director fees towards the props. The dude knows what he's doing. He knows how to do a horror film, and he knows effects and makeup for sure. And he's the reason it's as good as it is. That set was so organized, and he really wanted it to be Doug Bradley's final um, performance as Pinhead. He wanted to direct Doug as Pinhead, and that would have been
Yeah.
his dream come true. That did not work out. So lucky me. But that he really is the reason it's as good as it
Yeah.
is, and I
It's
hope people give him the credit that he is due.
it sounds like he went beyond just
Oh,
a professional and put his heart and soul and sweat into this.
absolutely.
Now, ranking yourself, you have done a wide spectrum of projects. Before Hellraiser, what were your feelings in regards to the horror genre?
I have always loved horror. Now, I am not into gore per se. Some gore is great if it serves a purpose,
Yeah.
but when it becomes just let's just really gross him out,
Hmm.
then I'm like, uh,
Yeah, me too.
I'd rather have good dialogue. I'd rather have strong characters making bold choices and things like that. But yeah, I've loved horror since I was a kid, and I wasn't really exposed to it very much. Um, Most of my exposure to horror was like Saturday night at the movies.
Hmm.
At first when I was a kid, I just wasn't. I was My whole family didn't really see horror films. I think the first one I remember the family going to without me was The Omen, and that was quite a while ago. But they went to the theater, and I was a kid, and they didn't take me. The Exorcist came out when I was in grade school. I was not allowed to go see that, but I read the book. But my biggest, like, I saw Vincent Price in grade school. They showed The Raven one year.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's cool. But the first time I got that jolt that you get from horror that made me, it becomes a drug and you kind of want it again,
Mm-hmm.
was, I think this is right. Pretty sure this is right. It was Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black.
Yes.
Zuni fetish doll. Everyone in my family, I was the youngest of three kids, and everyone else, it was a Saturday night, everyone else was gone. I had my little pizza and my, Orange Crush or whatever. Everyone's gone. It's nighttime. I'm watching Saturday Night at the Movies, and along comes Trilogy of Terror with this wonderful cross-eyed actress I'd never seen before. And she does the first two stories, and I'm like, oh, this is creepy. This is kind of great. But the third story is the one about the Zuni fetish doll. And that was the first time I ever was exposed to that feeling that you get that is truly that adrenaline rush where you're really scared and you don't know what to do with it as a kid.
I know. I know.
Just freaked me out. But I've loved that ever since. And then going to a movie like The Exorcist, which is just a freaking fantastic, it's a masterpiece. But it's a horror film, and something like that, that's such a work of art,
And yet invoked such a physical response in the audience when it came out.
Yeah, and Jaws too. I saw Jaws in the theater as well, which is a different kind of horror film altogether. But
Yeah.
oh my god, that was scary.
I'm with you. Give me a good psychological thriller with no
Yeah,
blood, guts, and gore, and you've got me. I'm not looking for a bloodfest and no story. That's
yeah.
boring, you know?
There was no blood in Psycho,
No,
none.
no,
You know, and yet it's riveting and terrifying. It's just really
exactly.
good filming. So
Exactly. I have found that the stuff that is truly terrifying to us is something that can actually happen in real life.
yeah, yeah. People are terrifying.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's not the
crazy.
monsters that are terrifying, it's people.
Yeah, it's people who look nice and normal and are just freaking crazy.
Yeah.
That's scary. Several of them are in very high positions in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's what Hitchcock got with Psycho. You know,
yeah,
you had this good looking young man,
yeah.
motel manager, and, when no one's looking, he has a split personality as his dead mother.
Man, I want to say, I know I'm too old to play Norman Bates, but that's my cup of tea. If
Yeah,
I can play some sort of psycho guy like that, that really is what interests me the most.
yeah.
Because he's got this beautiful vulnerability. He's very appealing. And then he's just this obviously maniac.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't help it.
No,
And
no.
he feels justified in his behavior. That whole split personality thing. The same thing with what is it? Angie Dickinson.
Oh,
Oh,
are you talking about Dress to Kill? No,
Dress to Kill.
yeah, that's
I
a
don't
great
think it's a.
movie. That's a great movie.
It really is. And Michael Caine. Oh my God! I really want to do a remake of Dress to Kill and play the Michael Caine role. I
Oh.
would look great in a nurse's uniform. So I'm.
You see, that's a
But
movie that unfortunately has gone a little bit, well, has gone forgotten with time.
yeah,
And that's sad. That's sad because it was such a great film.
but Angie Dickinson and the hand and the and the murder in the elevator.
Hmm.
It's and the museum, the stalking in the museum. It's just really good filmmaking. De
Yeah,
Palma, great. De Palma was just
awesome.
it. It just was.
Awesome. So let's go back. We're going to get to Judgment some more in a bit, but let's go back. Now, your first, according to IMDb, your first professional credits as an actor is back in '98. Before that, were you a theater actor? How did you get your start?
Yeah, I've done theater for decades, for 30, 30 more than 30 years. 40 years, 50. I started when I was a kid. I grew up in Kansas. My dad did community theater. His father was in vaudeville. But because Dad was brought up during the Depression, he didn't want to. He wasn't going to pursue that. He wanted to have the American dream, which was being sold at the time. And so he put himself through dental school, and had three kids and the lovely wife, and we had this beautiful family upbringing in the middle of Kansas. But he did community theater, and I saw him doing that, and I really wasn't interested in much. I was kind of a soft kid who just liked toys and luxury and air conditioning, and but I saw Dad doing that, and I thought I want to try that. So I think the first thing I did was in grade school. I did the Town Mouse and the Country Mouse or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was probably third grade, second grade, just a tot.
Hmm.
Uh, but what really, then I did a melodrama at the community theater that my dad was playing the comic relief because he was always a clown. I take after him in that way. I played a kid in that. And then along came this children's theater thing that would meet during the summers called Red Barn Players. And I would do that during the summer. And it sort of just made my adolescence. I lived for it.
Hmm.
And that's when I really started doing it. We do 2 or 3 plays during the summer. And I was in almost every show in high school. So, I was just doing it. And I decided at a very young age that this was really all I wanted to do. And I wanted to do film as well, but I was discouraged from that. Kind of unfortunately I was, but we can't have regrets. We do what we do. We make the decisions we make.
Hmm.
We're born with the parents we have. And
Exactly.
fortunately, all of it came from a place of love, all the advice I got. But so instead of pursuing film, which pays more, I pursued theater, which pays like nothing, I, but I did it. And
And the work is like twice as much.
it's made me happy for so many years. But, but I'd done a few movies, a handful of movies, and then when Hellraiser Judgment came along, it just sort of boom, it kind of kicked me in the butt, and it was like, this is what I need to really pursue.
Yeah.
And I've put theater a little bit on the back burner. Of course, during the pandemic, there's been no choice.
Yeah.
There has, take away my career for a year and a half. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Fortunately, things are coming back. So anyway, all my life, just all my life. I moved to New York in the 90s. I was there for about 5 years.
So you would say all the roles, like up until Judgment, were roles that you were doing while you were in between theater gigs?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And theater acting is it's all acting is the same in a way, but it's also so different.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to get the subtlety. It can really be quite a challenge to audition well for me.
Yeah.
Well for film and TV, because mostly I just get the redirects of throw it away, less, 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 because I'm so used to going after the audience rather than realizing that the camera is like getting, this is what you're seeing.
Exactly. And I've had a lot of actors tell me, uh, like you with theater backgrounds, you got to learn how to work with the camera. I'm not an actor, and I've always been fascinated by that statement.
Mhm.
Instead of a live audience, you got to perform for the camera, and apparently it's two completely different things.
It really is, because when you're on stage, everyone is looking at you, but they're far away. You don't, you just do your thing. And to me, it's more naturalistic, because natural stage acting it's just behavior.
Yeah,
It's not about the eyes. It's not about seeing thoughts in a person's eyes. It's about the whole body. So it's in a way easier. Um, and then when it comes to film acting, it has to be so much in your head. It's all about what you're thinking.
yeah,
So you can be doing a play and thinking about something completely different. The play is rehearsed. You've done it 20 times, 30, 40, 50, however long the run of the play has been. You got it down. You know the lines. you know how to get whatever you need, the reactions, you're listening, and it's different every performance and it's alive, but at the same time, it's practiced and practiced and practiced. Whereas with film, it's like you better just be able to think what the character is thinking, and
Yeah.
that's the challenge
Hmm.
because the camera knows, so the audience knows
Yeah.
when you're faking it, and that you don't get parts if you fake it. In auditions, it's hard. You have to make every audition as if it's the first take.
I absolutely agree. And there are a lot of movies that I've seen where I'm watching the actors and they're putting everything they have on the table, but something inside me is like, I know they're acting, as opposed to other actors which don't even make you think that. And I can't put my finger on it because
It's
I can't explain it. It's like, I mean, they're doing their part, they're laying it out, but yet there's a little voice behind in the back of my head saying they're acting, as opposed to, I guess, other actors where that thought never crosses your mind.
Yeah, it's very hard. I mean, it's just I was watching something last night, and I can't say what it is because I'm not going to talk about other actors who are super famous, who I
Yes.
adore and admire, and love their careers and want to work with them. But sometimes I see these super famous, reputable actors who've won awards or whatever, and I watch them in something, and I'm like, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
You're not quite real.
Yeah, and
What is
I
you
can't
should be
explain it.
better. You're getting so much money.
Yeah.
I can do better. And I know part of that is my ego, or maybe it's envy, maybe it's jealousy. It probably is. I want that kind of success. But part of me is like, I also can't really put my finger on
Yeah.
it. What would I do differently? What would I do that would be better? I don't know. But but sometimes I do know, but I
Yeah.
can't talk because
It's a secret. Well, it's a trade
you never
secret.
hear or watch this and hate me, and we can't have that.
No.
But I yearn for the opportunity to really be able to test myself on in movies and TV where I get better and better and better and better, and it's hard. It's just hard to
Hmm.
get the work first of all.
It
So
is.
you have to get a lot of work in order to get better at it. So it's like, it's it's.
If
I've
you,
chosen a life of rejection.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
if you
Act-
were to guess talent and training, uh, what I mean, obviously, talent is very important, and then you have the training, the workshops, the school, whatever it is. Can somebody who is maybe not as talented get enough training to make them into a great actor?
yes, or they don't even need training. I because I do believe that taking class and taking acting classes is very good, but at the same time, there's a school of thought, and I believe this too, because it's an individual. You got an
Hmm.
individual person. Will training help this specific person? I don't know. There are some people who I think they've got, I would call it a naivete or an innocence about them, or which gives them a boldness where they have
Hmm.
no fear. So because they have no fear, because they don't even question, whether what they're doing is right or not, because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Some of those actors are so compelling because they are just existing, and
Hmm.
that's what it really is. Um, but you look at someone like Meryl Streep, who went to Yale and is like this, like the master
She's
actor
brilliant. Yeah.
of our time. Um, who had this flawless training, but first of all, she had that talent. So it's like talent versus luck. Um,
Then you got to
it's so,
put
it's
training
so
into there as
it's,
well.
it's so hard to
It
say.
is. It
But
is. I
call
absolutely agree.
it's potential. What sort of potential does a person have? And um, uh, yeah, the question of talent is a tough one. I just started watching. American Horror Story Provincetown a couple nights ago, and I think it's really good. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of into it, but I don't know if you seen it.
Oh yeah, I've
It's
seen. I'm a
the
huge American Horror Story fan.
the question of the talent, and what will the capsules do? They'll either make you more brilliant because you already have the talent, or they will turn you into this twitchy hack, and
Yeah,
you will be miserable the rest of your life. But you'll always need that drug, which is the inspiration. And I'm like, what is my inspiration? I want that drug, but I don't want it because it's addictive and then you have to have it.
yeah.
I, but the whole concept of that is fascinating to me. And it's new because I just started watching it 2 nights ago. So I watched the episode, I think the daughter just took. So anyway,
So you
no,
started from
oh,
season.
stop, shut up.
So you're
Uh,
starting American Horror Story from the beginning, season one, and
well,
you.
no, Provincetown. No,
Oh, oh, okay,
this
gotcha.
is the latest one. It's on It's on Hulu or Netflix or
Yeah,
what.
Hulu.
So I'm watching it. You know, there have been a few seasons of American Horror Story I've skipped only because of what I've heard about from other people, or I've started watching a season and gone, I don't really need this. Um, but I may now that I really like this season, the one
Hmm.
called Provincetown. I don't even know what season number it is, but I'm thinking, I need to go back and give those other ones that I skipped a watch and just see. You
There,
know,
there have been some great ones, and
they're
I'll make
great.
it. It's what you're watching is the new season 10 one. Uh, and there have been some great seasons. Ryan Murphy, the creator,
Yeah,
and it's just an amazing show. We could spend hours talking about American Horror Story. Now, you mentioned Judgment. Hellraiser Judgment was done filming 2 years before it released. So you guys were done in 2016.
yeah.
Now, walk us through from the beginning how the role of Pinhead came to you.
I was first of all, the casting director knows me. He's known me for many years. His name's Chris Fryoffer. He lives in Oklahoma City, and he's cast me in more things than anyone else in the world has. Um, he knew I was a weirdo. I'm a weirdo, and I've always sort of played these um, clerk types,
Hmm.
middle management types, managers basically, and hotel clerks, that kind of thing. Um, Maybe guys you want to hurt, kind of like what happened to me in Sin City. I think Robert Rodriguez was like, "Yeah, I want to break your arm. I'm going to cast you as this guy." So anyway, um, the first role I was looked at for this because the movie shot in Oklahoma City,
Okay.
and at the time I believe they thought that Doug Bradley was going to play Pinhead, so I got an audition notice to audition for the role of the auditor, the role that Gary ended up playing, and I
Hmm.
read it. The movie was being called Judgment, not Hellraiser Judgment. It was a secret that a Hellraiser movie was being made. And but I'd read the description and it said something about a spiraling maze of horror, and I'm like, this sounds familiar. So anyway, I get the sides for the auditor, and I open the first page. His first line is, Mr. Watson, come in. We have such sights to show you. And I'm like, it's a freaking Hellraiser movie. I'm going to get this part because I am a middle management weirdo, and I'm going to do a movie with Doug Bradley, and it's going to be Hellraiser, and it's going to be awesome. And so anyway, I did a hell of a good audition for it. I just loved it so much because I don't get that kind of opportunity all that much living in Texas, to play those kinds of roles. So then I got another notice, and it was that we want to put Paul on tape for Pinhead. Doug Bradley's not coming back. So then, at the time though, I was doing a play. I'll try to tell this story quickly. I've told it
No,
a few
no,
times,
take your time.
but I was doing a play where I was playing a minister, a priest, you might say. And it was a very strange priest in a very strange play called Martyr. And it was about this kid in a religious high school who was taking the Bible very seriously.
Hmm.
And he was judging everyone in his life, and he was damning his mother to hell. And he was, all this weird stuff. And but he's got this minister who is trying to help. Um, so I get this opportunity to audition for the Hell Priest while I'm playing this priest. My prop on the stage between scenes, the director was sort of a sadist, and we had these pews, these wooden benches that were on either side of the stage, facing. We would face away from the action while the scenes were taking place, and then we'd get up and get on stage for our scenes. So we had to
Mm-hmm.
sit there through the whole hour and a half on these wooden pews with no intermission. And so I decided that my prop would be, because I wanted to sit there and do something, was a Bible, my dad's Bible from he left me when he died. So I took all my lines, I typed them out real small, I taped them in there, and I'm learning the Pinhead lines. So I learned my lines while I'm waiting to go on stage. I get them. I got the part. I fly out to LA to get my head cast done so that they can do the makeup, and I'm staying with an old friend of mine, and I stayed an extra day, and I said, please take me to a comic book store. I want to find a graphic novel, a Hellraiser graphic novel. And he says, okay. So he drives me to this comic book store. There's one Hellraiser graphic novel. I get it. I open it. The first picture is it's a priest giving last rites to a prisoner on death row. You turn the page, and Pinhead breaks in and destroys the priest. And it was so wild. I don't know. Anyway, that's not really how I got the part, but that's something that happened in the midst of it, and it was just nuts. It was just nuts that all that happened, and I sort of paid attention. I'm like, priest, what is going on here? But anyway, so I auditioned once for Pinhead. I had walked in for my auditor audition with a bag that had my Pinhead action figure and my puzzle box that I'd made by gluing all the pieces of the action figures together, because I'm 12 years old, and I have the action figures already. And I said, I know this is a Hellraiser movie. And so he's like, yeah, it is. Ha, ha, ha. And then I got called in for Pinhead. Then I had one audition. I was Gary's first choice. I was the first choice of all the people at Dimension, all the people who were making this decision. And so Bob Weinstein was the only one left. But he was at Cannes Film Festival. He couldn't get his phone to work. He couldn't, bad reception. He couldn't watch my audition. I wait an extra several days just waiting to see if I'm going to be Pinhead. And then one Sunday morning, I get a text from the casting director. He says, are you awake? I said, yeah, I'm having my coffee. He said, welcome to the movie, Pinhead.
Awesome.
And that was it. And it was all very, when you really look at it, it was all very simple. I auditioned once. I got the part.
Yeah, but you got a part. You must have known that you being cast for Pinhead, that this is going to change the trajectory of your career. Did you think that?
I did think that.
Now, so you shoot the film. Now you have to wait. When you were shooting the film, did they sort of let you in on when it might be getting released, or was it still up in the air?
There was not a clue. I mean, it never occurred to me that it might not be released.
When did you start getting nervous after time has passed and this thing has not made it out yet?
Because I was doing publicity. I mean, I was doing social media stuff on Facebook. That's all that really there was back then that I was doing. But I was just all about, these blurbs about, and I would read something, a random article that would give me a bit of information or like a release date that someone had put on IMDb that turned out to be wrong. Yeah. Like, it's being released, and I'd do a big announcement and stuff and then be wrong. I didn't realize that, none of that stuff is true until it's true. So exactly. I've learned that don't do that,
Yeah. Don't believe everything you read on the internet.
No. But I was the only one doing publicity. So if it had never come out, boy, would I have felt like an ass.
So, obviously you guys probably had a premiere night screening. I assume you were there. What were your reactions sitting in the theater, watching the film, watching yourself? Were you proud of the work that you had done?
I was proud of the work I'd done. I don't think there was a premiere. I mean, the movie's shot in Oklahoma City, and I live in Texas. So if there was a premiere in LA, I don't think there was. I think I would have been told about that.
You would
The
think.
fact that it came out the way it did, when it was just like, uh-oh, Weinstein's, we're in trouble, let's release everything. It was direct to video, it was Blu-ray and DVD and
Yeah.
that and streaming, and that's boom, that's all it was. So I watched it I watched it at home
Okay.
time with a couple friends. But I was very happy about my performance. I was
Yeah.
happy that Gary had not let me get too big, that his biggest direction through the whole thing was throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. And he had shown me, the first time I met him in person, he had shown me the scene from Star Wars where Moff, the Peter Cushing, Moff
Yeah.
Tarkin,
Boba Fett, you mean, or no? I know
uh,
what you're talking about. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
he has Princess Leia on the Death Star, I think,
Yeah.
and wherever they are. I'm not an expert on
One of
Star
our
Wars.
Star Wars viewers help us out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
But anyway, he's like, you want? I'm going to destroy one of these planets. Do you want me to destroy your home planet or this other planet? And she can't decide. Anyway, he ends up, I think, destroying her home planet,
yeah.
and she goes no, and he just says very simply, "You're far too trusting." And I remember that's Gary. He said, Peter Cushing said, "You're far too trusting," and Gary goes, "There, that's your pinhead right there. Just go for that. That's your energy." I'm like, wow, cool. So on set, he would come up to me and say, "We're going to do another take. Just throw it away. Just throw it away." And right before he said action, I would say, "You're far too trusting. Action. How dare you use such a word?" And it kept it all very, real. So,
That's cool to find out the inspiration you use before the takes to
yeah.
get into that pinhead mode.
And again, Gary gave that to me. He was very good at that. So it was, I was happy with the subtlety.
Yeah.
Um, it was a different kind of pinhead. It was a less energetic.
Okay, we got a response. Wilhuff Tarkin was the
Okay.
Wilhuff Tarkin was the character's name. Okay.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that either.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad. Uh,
Right. Safe.
now, Judgment is out on DVD release. When did you start? Uh, was it the change in your career that you were kind of hoping for? Was it a little subdued, or was it more than you expected?
A little subdued, but I think that really has a lot to do with the fact that I did not move to LA. I did not move somewhere else. I had friends. Oh, it's repeating back on me. You're only
No,
hearing
no,
me.
you're fine. I can see and
Okay,
hear you fine. Yeah.
okay, we're good. Okay. A friend of mine, I was on a commercial shoot or some industrial shoot, and a friend of mine was like, "So when the movie comes out, you're getting your ducks in a row. You're going to be in LA, so that when your IMDb is down to you're like in the 5,000s, you're going to be there, and you're going to be ready, and you're going to be a big star. This is your chance. Your trajectory is like boom." And I was like, "Should I be doing that? Oh no, am I supposed to be? What am I? This is my big chance. Am I supposed to be moving somewhere else? I'm afraid." I didn't
Yeah.
do it, and so
No.
I stayed where I was, and so in a way, I don't want to say that
I mean, I don't really think not going to LA would have made that much
well,
of an impact.
you know, I don't want, I don't, I'm getting a lot of auditions, and I'm doing okay. Oklahoma is exploding as far as film TV work goes. Fort Worth, Texas, is shooting the prequel to what is it called? Silver. What is it? Goldstone? Silver. I can't remember. It's a Western. I don't know. Something I might never be seen for unless they need a lawyer
I'm
or a
just
clerk.
looking at all the stuff you have upcoming, and man, you are filming, post production, post, completed. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got a lot of upcoming stuff.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, and I have a lot of auditions happening all the time. So I'm constantly like last weekend, I was at a convention and I had 3 auditions I had to put on tape on Sunday because they were due that night or the
Yeah.
next morning. And it was like, this is great. And there were major projects. I've been talked to just over the last couple of days about a thing that, man, I hope it happens. I, of course, can't talk
I
about it,
know. I know.
but a director contacted a director who knows me, who said, call Paul Taylor and la 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 and all that. So about the relationships and being cool at conventions and stuff, and easy to work with. I've always felt that integrity is extremely important, and that goes against the grain of so much that Hollywood is about, the
I'm
stereotypical
right there
Hollywood.
with you. I'm right
It's
there with you.
integrity is everything. If I'm going to get something, I want it to be because I'm good enough, because I worked hard at it, because I'm talented enough, and that I
Yeah.
deserve it. I don't want it to be because I'm an asshole who stabbed somebody else in the back. I
Yeah.
just don't see that turning out well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like for
no,
me, I have this rule that I live by. You know that when somebody asks you a request or something and you know you can't say yes, most people, this is not just entertainment, but most people, the easy way out is to ignore it. Don't respond back. I don't live by that motto. I think everybody deserves an answer. And just because it's not the answer they're expecting, I owe it to them to give
yeah.
them an answer. While most
Yeah.
people, and this is what really gets under my skin, they choose the easy way out and just not address it.
Oh,
Pretend
I
it never
I
happened.
text. Oh, I just got this.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Be selective about
yeah.
what we respond to. And I agree with you.
You
If
got you have to understand, I've been doing this for 17 months. Before I started doing this, I was just a fan. And in 17 months, I have gotten one of the biggest crash courses in how Hollywood and entertainment runs. I mean, literally, I was just a fan. And I got inside that curtain and saw what the Wizard of Oz looks like and
yeah,
how everything works. And
yeah.
I'm just was, yeah, you hear stories, but to live it and to go through it and negotiate contracts and this and managers, publicists, it's like, oh my God, this is a world on itself.
Yeah. I don't have the business savvy, or maybe I don't have the interest in the business part of it enough.
Yeah,
If I had more of that, I think that so many people who are successful, like hugely successful, who are marginally talented, are successes because of their business
yeah.
acumen. Um, and I just, you know,
A lot of this business is really gut reaction, gut feelings. What kind of feelings do you get off this person?
yeah,
Can you trust
yeah,
them? Can you believe them?
yes,
And there are going to be times you're going to be wrong, and there are times you're going to be right. It can go either way.
yeah,
Now, I mean, you do a lot of conventions, and I've seen you. I met you just like less than 2 weeks ago in Atlantic City. You are
yeah.
very open with the fans. You approach them, you talk to them, and that's why you're popular at these conventions. When you go to these conventions, has it become now like, oh, this is work, or do you still personally you find enjoyment in interacting with the fans?
It is work in that if it's not busy, you can get really tired of just being there.
Yeah,
My body hurts easily,
yeah,
but
I hear you.
chair is so boring. But when there's stimuli, when there are a lot of people, it's completely different. I mean, I feel so privileged that I'm even there in the first place. And people are not going to come up to your table if they don't want to.
No,
And that's another reason why people deserve an answer. They
yeah,
deserve you. It's you're putting on a show,
yeah,
and I have a personality that is happy to do that as long as I have enough food, enough caffeine or whatever. As
mm-hmm.
long as I have the energy to do it, I can just talk someone's ear off.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
know that I'm entertaining to many people. Some people might think I'm annoying. I don't really care.
Mm-mm.
But I think that it depends on the situation itself. It's become because I'm doing more of these now than well, obviously a year and a half not doing anything was disappointing
Yeah, it
and
was
boring.
all off.
So it's kind of in 2021, I've been busier than maybe I will be in 22. I hope that's not the case, but it seemed like we were playing catch up on a lot of it.
Yeah,
Supposed to do it a year and a half ago, but
yeah.
that all happened this year. But I consider it a privilege to be paid to get on a plane, to stay at a hotel, a lovely hotel, and to
Meet the fans.
sell my autograph. I mean, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Let me show you what I got today in the mail. I don't know if you could see this. My New York Comic Con press pass. This came in the mail today. So
Really?
now this is going to be interesting because with these bigger conventions like New York Comic Con and of course San Diego Comic Con, it's not
Yeah.
like the convention we were at 2 weeks ago in Atlantic City. This is going to
Right.
be huge, and
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. I'm going to go there. It's at the Jacob Javits Center, which is huge.
Yes, it is.
Uh, they're not really releasing who's going to be there yet, even though it's several weeks away. But,
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it and I'm going to judge it. I like smaller conventions where you really get to be more personal with the guests.
I do too. I was saying that last weekend and the weekend before or whenever it was. I like a smaller con. And maybe it's also because I'm not Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
I'm not Jerry Seinfeld. I'm not a headliner. So if I'm at a smaller convention, maybe this is ego. It partially is. But it's not only the energy um, of the sort of there's more of a sweetness to a
Yeah.
smaller con.
Yeah, I like small conventions and the guests are nice and they're open. Now, I got to
Yeah.
see. I have I I don't know what to expect in 3 weeks when I go to New York, which is my
Who knows?
hometown. I know it's going to be huge. I know it's going to be packed. I know it's going to be crazy. It is
Yeah.
my hometown. It's where I was born and raised, New York City, and I'm
Yeah.
just going to be open and just I'm going there as press, and
Mhm.
just flow and see what it's about, see what it's
Yeah.
like, and have a good time. That Atlantic City convention at the end of the weekend, we all just really enjoyed ourselves. We had a great weekend, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Abs-
Beautiful hotel, and there was the beach. There
yeah,
was the beach. It's like
exactly.
what do you want from your life? You know,
Exactly.
want to
Now,
leave.
now we're almost out of time, but I do want to ask you, out of all these completed post-production filming projects, which ones should we really keep an eye out for? All you got to do is give a title, but which
Uh,
one would you like, pay attention to this one? I mean, there's something here called Friday the 13th Vengeance 2
well,
Bloodlines.
it's funny you should say that. Um, I would say that yeah, I'm super excited about that one. Uh, Working with Jason Brooks, who is the unofficial and yet the fan. I mean, he's the new Jason, and working with him was so cool. He's a friend of mine anyway,
Yeah,
so I got to be in a movie. I'm in a Friday the 13th movie.
that,
Um,
that's cool.
it's a sequel to Vengeance. It's Vengeance 2 Bloodlines, and there are a couple. There's some really big names in there. Some people you wouldn't expect, former Jasons and stuff. So I, I would say that one definitely something to pay attention to because I think that Vengeance, the first one they did, surprised so many people.
Hmm.
They're like, we love this guy who's now playing Jason.
Yeah.
Hello. Um, there's that. There's also a movie that might be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people called Butcher's Bluff.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's gonna be finished, but I shot my stuff.
And you play
Like
Sheriff Joe.
I play Sheriff Joe. It's an '80s throwback slasher movie
Okay.
uh, about the Hog Man. And you don't want to go up in them woods, 'cause, you might not come out. I mean, it's teenagers getting slaughtered. It's I think it's gonna be a lot of
It
fun for
sounds like a
those
lot of fun.
who love that kind of movie.
Yeah.
Bill Oberst Jr. is in it. He was is Papa Corn
Yeah.
in Billy Pond's movie Circus of the Dead. Bill Oberst Jr. is great. Anyway, there's a lot of great people in it.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's gonna have a flavor to it that it's gonna please a lot of horror fans. Um,
Fantastic. So we a lot of good stuff coming
yeah,
out to look forward to from you. You look like you said you've been very busy. I'm so happy. I mean, just all the stuff that's upcoming is amazing. So happy that you've been keeping busy and your talent is being used. And I just want to thank you so much for being our guest. This has been a really fun hour, just chatting and talking.
yeah. Same for me, John. Thank you.
It's been a
For sure.
pure treat. Any final thoughts you want to share with the audience before we go?
Uh, just if you want to follow me on social media, go ahead and do it. It's
Okay.
Instagram, the real Paul T. Taylor. But that's not really that's not important. Just thank you for any. If you've ever come up, if a person who's listening has ever come up to me at a table and said to me, "I've seen all the Hellraisers. I'm a huge Hellraiser fan, and thank you for getting it right and for getting it back on track." That is the best thing I could ever hear at a convention, and I thank those people because
Hmm.
um, without the fans,
It's
you
nothing.
know, I'm nothing.
Yeah,
It could have gone. It could have gone south.
exactly.
Um, and
Exactly.
please just keep watching for me because I'm not done yet.
Nope.
I'm not done. I
No.
am to play some crazy people.
Anyway, guys, we are out of time. Again, thank you to Paul. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this last hour as much as we have. Have a great weekend. Until next week, on behalf of Paul T. Taylor and myself, stay safe and always stay walking. Bye now.